On the phone with us, he is the author of the new book, The Politician. He's also a longtime aide to former Senator John Edwards. He is Andrew Young. Andrew, good morning. Thanks for joining us. And after all the press you've been doing, welcome back home for a little bit.
Yeah, I was hoping I was going to get better news about the Hurricanes, but here it's still kind of struggling.
Well, they're winning at least, but they're Tar Heels not so much these days. So
yeah,
that's the tough part. It's like if one team wins, the other one won't.
Yeah, that's hurting me.
Well, let's jump into the book. It's called The Politician. It is in stores now. You mentioned in an interview you did recently here on local television that part of the reason you wrote the book, you acknowledge, is because you haven't been able to find work since leaving the Edwards campaign, and you also talk about, and it's become a very big story here, about the sex tape you have of Rielle Hunter and John Edwards, and you don't intend to sell it. I got to wonder then what it is you intend to do with it.
Well, I mean, of course. Well, the first thing is, I mean, about the job thing and about being able to support my family. Mm-hmm. You have to understand, we're going up against some of the brightest legal minds in the field.
Sure.
I had to find somebody who was outside of John Edwards' sphere of influence, and that person is incredible, but he's expensive, and our legal bills are atrocious. And so I have to find a way to support my kids. I have to find a way to pay for these legal bills because we're up against some giants.
Yeah.
And it's kind of difficult to go in and apply for a job and try to leave off the last 10 years of your resume,
Sure.
12 years of your resume.
Yeah, that's really difficult.
And say, well, you can call John Edwards and he'll tell you I'm a piece of, So that's the first part. And I'm sorry, the second part you'll have to remind me.
Was
the sex tape?
The sex tape. You say you don't intend to sell it. So what is it you intend to do with it then?
Well, the grand jury who's investigating him has subpoenaed it. It's my copy is in a lockbox. I'm never going to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. The grand jury, the prosecutors have a copy of it. I'm never going to do anything with it. The main thing about it was it corroborated our story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it showed how far gone this guy was.
Yeah.
We don't ever plan on doing. We had plenty of chances to do something with it.
Yeah.
But I don't. That's the main thing. It corroborated our story. At that point, Elizabeth was Saint Elizabeth, and nobody believed. We had no credibility. Nobody knew who we were.
You say it shows how far gone he was, and you've said that it shows what an egotistical guy he was. I got to wonder, does it show a man and a woman that look like they know what they're doing?
John and Elizabeth?
No, the John and Rielle, right?
John and Rielle. I still think that they love each other.
Andrew, what was the thing that, looking back on your time with John Edwards and the Edwards campaign, what was the thing that makes you most uneasy for them asking you to do? What was the one thing that you regret doing or that they asked you to cover up or do?
Well, obviously, I mean, the thing I regret the most is, when they asked us to do this, I was actually at the PetSmart out off of 15501 when he asked me to do this. We were buying a turtle aquarium.
Did you stop by that Con Key afterwards?
No. Actually, when I told my wife we were going through the drive-thru at McDonald's getting a Happy Meal for our son after preschool. Mm-hmm. So if you fellas ever have to ask your wife to do that, that's not quite the appropriate place to do that.
So what was that conversation like? Like talk to us a little bit about what happened on that phone call.
And just so we're clear, you're talking about when they ask you to pose as the father of Rielle Hunter's child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, they needed us to. I was the only one he trusted, mm-hmm. and my wife is a pediatric nurse, and they needed us to control Rielle because she was a loose cannon. First of all, you have to remember. I mean, everybody says this is crazy and stupid, and it is. But you also have to remember that John Edwards, at his best, was one of the most persuasive trial lawyers and politicians around. I mean, the guy could sell ice to Eskimos when he was on. Mm-hmm. But he talked about how close our families were, how much he loved me, what a close friend he was. Mm-hmm. He talked about the good versus evil. At that point, Democrats, after what had happened to Gore in 2000 and Kerry in 2004, he talked about that Hillary or Barack could win the primary but couldn't win the general. And he talked about getting our kids out of Iraq, health care, the whole thing. He put the whole pitch on us. By the end of the conversation, we genuinely felt like we had the presidency in our laps.
Yeah.
What we decided to do. And we had 12 hours to make a decision, 12 hours. And, then we've been dealing with this for 2.5 years. And we've been criticized openly for doing this book and so on and so forth. And I challenge anybody, other than slinking off into the background, is the little guy. They to make the story more credible, they went around and trashed my name and my wife's name. They threatened Sherry and I in the voicemails that you see quoted in the book, and the text messages. They went out of their way to destroy our lives. My question is, if I'd gone on 60 Minutes and done an interview, you couldn't have made sense of a 10-year saga like this.
Right.
And we had to write this book, one, to get this off our shoulders. We live 3 miles apart from each other. Our kids play baseball against each other. We genuinely feel like we had to do this in order to move forward. Do we want to do it? No, but loyalty runs two ways, and it didn't run from him.
Are you afraid your kid's going to be on the receiving end of some brushback pitches now?
Let's hope that doesn't happen yet.
All right, he is Andrew Young. The name of the book is The Politician. Andrew, I hope when you are back in the Triangle, you have some time. Maybe you come in the studio and we can do this and get some questions from listeners.
Definitely.
As long as you get me some hurricane tickets.
No problem. That can be arranged.
No problem. You let us know when you want to go.
Sounds good, fellas.